Okay, this video is called Spartan Vegan Diet Overview, and the reason for making it is one of the viewers made me this nice graphic. I think like with AI they did it. I thought it was really nice. Spartan Vegan Pyramid of Health. So I'm going to talk about this. This diagram they made is beautiful, but it's almost a little bit complicated. I'm going to show you sort of the simpler version of it, then we're going to come back to this graphic. I think this is the healthiest diet that a person could eat. You might have some special dietary needs if you got certain diseases, but overall, and my diet, Spartan Vegan, and by the way, I'm Pete Rogers, MD, the Spartan Vegan, is very much like the Esselstyn diet, the McDougall diet, same thing like the Nelson diet and veg source, Basically, the majority of calories should come from starch. I like to eat about 50-60%, probably about 60% of my calories from starch, about 35% from fruits, and about 5% from veggies. McDougall would recommend people start out with 90% of calories from starch, 5% from fruits, 5% from veggies. The younger you are, the healthier you are, the more you exercise, the more fruits you can eat. Also, the more tropical you live. If you live in these warm places, California, Florida, Hawaii, and all that stuff, then you got easier access to fruits all year. Should filter your water. I like reverse osmosis for the kitchen sink. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about what's going on here. The bottom of the pyramid is, social support. Maintain your relationships with family, friends, coworkers, whatever. Get your exercise. Exercise is great for so many reasons. Besides making you look good, you sleep a lot better. It increases sleep drive. Your immune system works by your muscles pumping, get your immune lymphatics to push the immune cells throughout the body to clear out cancer cells and other debris, make everything function well. Sunshine's really good for you for multiple reasons. We'll talk about all this stuff in other lectures, but I'm just giving you the overview of the diet. Get your sleep, that's real important. A lot of things you can do about that. Religious people are way healthier. All this modernism that you don't need religion, that's a bunch of crap. That's just designed to collapse the society, but religion's really good for people. All the major religions improve people's health. Okay, starches are the sort of foundation of your calories, and these are really only the three foods: starches, fruits, and veggies. Always 100% vegan, always 100% whole foods, 100% organic. I only eat things with a single ingredient of them. That way they're intact. You get all the desirable antioxidants, potassium and magnesium, for example. I do love fruits, veggies, okay, and the only thing I take is methylcobalamin B12, and I take very little of it, and that seems to be enough to keep my levels high, adequate. This is just a logo, Spartan Vegan. It comes from its Spartan in that it's really simple. It's also really cheap, and I was a wrestler, so a little bit of the warrior athlete in me. My physical strength is really good. My energy is really good, and here's sort of the health reasons for doing it. If you look at the standard American diet, you're screwed. They've got high incidence of all the common Western diseases: obesity, diabetes, hypertension, heart attack, stroke, impotence, cancer, everything bad. But then you look, some of these other diets, they're really not much better, like the Indian diet, from India. The problem with the Indian diet, even though they got a lot of fruits and vegetables, the problem is they still eat meat in the sense that they eat, the yogurt and the ghee. That's basically, milk is like liquid meat. So dairy is, kind of like liquid meat. They also eat tons of fried food, tons of oil. And that's probably the main thing that causes them to have a lot of health problems. Okay. The East Asian diet was actually pretty good, like Japan, Korea, China. They were used to eat tons of rice, like about 90% of their calories from white rice almost, which, could put you at risk for beriberi, but they would then get 5% each on fruits and vegetables in that ballpark, and they'd be okay. But they would smoke like chimneys. They'd eat tons of salt, and that could get them into trouble. Nowadays, though, their diet's being westernized, and they're having lots of health problems. So what I'm trying to say is, when you go low-fat, plant-based diet, 100% vegan, you got a very low incidence of all the major Western diseases: diabetes, hypertension, heart attack, stroke, cerebral vascular disease, impotence, cancer, autoimmune disease. What more do you want? It's good in everything. And that's because it's the optimal diet for the human species, okay? That's why I eat it, because I want to be healthy. I want to keep the brain working, the Johnson working, the heart working. And this is sort of like my little joke pyramid, where I joke that, a typical complete moron goes paleo keto and they end up in health hell. The typical stupid American ends up eating the SAD diet, standard American diet, makes them fat, sick, and stupid and unattractive. Women lose their looks, by the time they're 40, typically with this diet. With the low-fat vegan, I've seen some women that are 70 years of old that are still hot. They look like they're 40. Look up Annette Larkins if you want to see an example. Mediterranean diet. This is what the pseudo-intellectual ignoramuses, physicians typically recommend because they don't know what they're talking about. The Mediterranean diet. Lacto, ovo, pesco vegetarians, a little bit better. I call that the middle class bourgeoisie version of a plant-based diet. Philosophic vegans don't want animal foods, but they eat a lot of junk food. As you start progressing towards health and diet nirvana, you get rid of the processed food, no sweets, no oils, no added salt, no nuts, seeds, avocados, high-fat stuff. All right, and then you'll end up in full nirvana of diet. Okay, so anyways, and here we go. And the logo, I thought this was cool that the viewer made. So there it is. It's really the same thing as my Spartan Vegan pyramid, but this looks a lot cooler. So the basic social stuff and lifestyle stuff, your starches, your fruits, your veggies, and your vitamin B12. And if you're hesitant to do it, I would say just try it for 3-4 months. Before you start, check your blood pressure, check your pulse, check your body weight, check your total cholesterol, check anything else you want, and then recheck it after 3-4 months of doing it, and I'll bet you'll see things improve. If you're taking any medicines, consult with your doctor first, especially diabetes, hypertension, or anticoagulants, because your needs for those things could probably dramatically diminish once you're on this diet. So make sure you titrate your doses, otherwise you could end up with your blood pressure too low or your sugars too low and pass out or crash your car or something. So make sure if you're taking any pills, you do that. But anyways, this is, as far as I can tell from being a doctor over 35 years, the best you can do. I hope you found that helpful.